Hello everybody, Adam Monk here again, back with another Friday show and a very special edition, well, not a very special edition, a new kind of edition, because it's the Euros. And yeah guys, I mean, I'm certainly coming down with a very heavy case of Euros fever. Are you? Are you? I don't know. I mean, Cole Palmer certainly is. Look at him. Poor bugger, he looks ill. He's standing like how I used to stand when I was like 4 years old and had just got out of the shower and needed my mum to wrap my towel around me because it was cold. Yeah. I didn't shower in an England kit. Anyway, yeah, usually what we do with the Friday show, as you'll probably know, is we look at how an underdog can win a certain game of football. And I've seen you lot in the comments throughout the last few months saying, this guy don't even believe what he's saying. And to that, I'd say, speak to my lawyer. Nonetheless, so we're going to continue looking at how underdogs can win certain games. And that is why I'm going to be focusing on England throughout the entirety of this tournament, because they've never won the competition. Therefore, by default, I guess they are underdogs. But they'll win it this time. Right, so looking at this England-Serbia game, and England in general this tournament, I'm going to try and keep these style of videos now like very open and open to interpretation, open to discussion in the comments, because really with the amount of players, 26 men in that team, there's a whole lot of variation in terms of systems and teams that Gareth Southgate could play, so it's open to conversation and interpretation. But there has been a leak recently from, I believe it was Mike Keegan, that might be wrong, but I think it was Mike Keegan, who said that Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to start in the midfield against Serbia. So when looking at this game, I'm going to have to, because of that leak, and it's probably true, I'm going to have to assume that Trent's playing in the middle. And I'm not sure I would have played him there personally, but yeah, for the sake of what is probably going to be true, let's just run with that. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, a unicorn of a footballer, one of the best on the planet, and a player who people believe can play a plethora of positions. I mean, here's just a few listed now. He's playing in midfield though this time round, isn't he? So that logically leaves you with this. Yeah, I mean, look, Rice, Bellingham, we knew they were going to play, but in a way this kind of worries me. Assuming this is the whole team, my first worry with this midfield would be Declan Rice kind of playing a lone six if Trent's in the 8. And if Trent sits in a double pivot, I'm not sure it's good enough cover to maybe supplement Declan Rice. We obviously know at Arsenal throughout last season, 𝗦𝗶𝗴h played Declan Rice alongside a Jorginho or a 𝗕𝗏, and Declan Rice was allowed to be a little bit more box to box. He's not a pure number 6 like someone like Rodri is. Problem number 2 when we then talk about cover is who is likely going to be behind Rice and Trent, and that is Mark 𝗍𝗓 and John Stones, a centre-back pairing that have never, ever played together. Was that accidental Taylor Swift? Kind of, nearly. The centre-back pairing that have never, ever played together. Overrated artist, in my opinion. But yeah, with this back line, I mean, the positives are Kyle Walker and Trippier will likely play, and because of Trent maybe in midfield, they'll be, inclined to hug back and not really push down those flanks, particularly Trippier. But in terms of the centre-halves who are being covered, it just worries me a little bit. It's not really tangible. They're both very good statistically, 𝗍𝗓 and Stones, so I can't really knock them for that. But you know what I mean with England? Like, usually when it's shaken up a little bit, and, the fact that Harry Maguire's not there is actually quite worrying for me because of how well he's played for England. I just think with 𝗍𝗓 and Stones, they both might be in need of some gelling together, and throwing them in straight away, I think, is a little bit of a risk when you've got Trent ahead, with Rice. It's just a bit wishy-washy in my opinion. However, this isn't all doom and gloom, of course. It is obviously still coming home, and what is good about Trent playing in midfield? Well, there's actually a few things. Playing Trent in midfield would really allow England to press on the front foot, which I think is something Gareth Southgate certainly wants to try and implement. He's tried it against Bosnia and Iceland in the friendlies, and what's good about doing this is you've got 𝗑𝗫𝗧𝗏, Phil Foden, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Declan Rice in that midfield stroke attack, who have all played in very pressing-based systems under Arteta, Pep and Jurgen Klopp. So for Southgate, there might not be much of a teething period in terms of coaching this front-footed sort of suffocating style of play if we want to go for that, because these players know how to play it. Their managers play this at club level, so that's a positive. On the ball, though, is of course what suits Trent Alexander-Arnold more than anything. He's one of the best players on the planet in possession of the football. So that's always going to be a benefit to England. And there's something really, really interesting, actually, if you look at where Trent Alexander-Arnold has played throughout his career, the percentages of when he's played at right back and centre mid. So take a look at this. So this is where Trent Alexander-Arnold has played throughout his entire Liverpool career. So you can see there, 25,078 minutes played so far in a Liverpool shirt. He's played 99% of his games for Liverpool at right back and just 1% in the middle of the park. However, take a look at this. If you consider that percentile, that 1% that he has actually started in the middle of the park, and then you look here at his percentage of open play touches and where they are on the pitch, it kind of reads as if he's a sort of quarterback stroke central midfielder. There's 7% there, 8% in the centre of the park. That's really where Trent is comfortable having the ball. And what is so good about Trent Alexander-Arnold is simply the ambition of his passes. Much like Kevin De Bruyne, he's not afraid to hit a long ball, a kind of hero ball, a through ball. And 9 have been successful last season and 13 were unsuccessful. But look where he's hitting these balls from. Mainly from the centre of the park or even the edge of the penalty area. And this is something I think England are actually going to need, especially when 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 is likely going to be playing that number 10 stroke second striker and Harry Kane will be up front. There's going to be bodies flooding that penalty area, maybe Foden at the back post or Anthony Gordon playing on that left-hand side. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧 down the right wing, you can play balls down the channel to him or 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗏. We've got an abundance of talent, but the point I'm making is there's so much attacking talent that you need someone like Trent who's just going to spot a run and be able to hit a pass. It's very simple in principle, but Trent executes it better than anyone. So yeah, in short, I do think England will have enough quality to get past Serbia, of course. I think Kyle Walker is too good defensively to not start at right back, but then on the other hand, Trent Alexander-Arnold is just too good a footballer to not be in the team. So in a weird way, he's kind of, if he's being played in midfield, he's kind of, I know he's a right back by trade, so he's kind of the sacrificial lamb of this team, kind of playing out of position to facilitate everyone else around him, the likes of Bellingham, Kane, Saka, Foden. He'll really bring the best out of those players if England can get a hold of the ball, and then, like I said, Trent can play these passes. So hopefully we batter the Serbians. Not pre-match though, they will batter us. Anyway, time for the interview part of the video, and the good thing about it being the Euros and it being England is I can just pluck anyone from the country to talk about England. Don't need to go to a specific club because we're all behind the same nation, unless you're from Scotland, in which case I will be doing some Scotland videos as well, so I'll find a Scottish person. But anyway, today I found an English person. His name is Oliver Lowe, and he works on the City Extra YouTube channel, which will be around here right now, and I will link it in the description so you can go and check that out, obviously, if you're a Man City fan, or if you're just a massive hater. Anyway, Ollie, this is all about the England-Serbia game. Take it away.
I think like wants, hopes, what's realistic, they're all very different things. I'm two-minded when it comes to England, and it's, you know, it's definitely the heart and the brain. I think we can do it. I think that's the thing that we need to sometimes be optimistic about. I'm as guilty of it as anyone of being a real pessimist. I think it's sort of the way of the nation. I think we always sort of have this almost like little mini breakdown before tournaments as fans, as the media, where we start to worry about the squad, where we start to worry about, you know, the likelihood, the opposition that we might come up against. And then realistically, and I think this is what we sort of have when we get into it, we enjoy what the Euros are, which is an international tournament that brings the country together. It is really good for the entire country. I think, you know, everyone enjoys it. You know, spirits are high. You win games against the likes of Serbia, group stage games, then you get further and deeper into the competition, sort of the excitement builds, and I think that England are capable. Having said that, and then going against everything that I've just said and being a bit pessimistic, the recent form, the game against Iceland did concern me. I know some people said, write it off, it's a friendly, but for me, there were sort of some signs there is a, you know, of a team that isn't quite ready to compete against the likes of France, Spain, Germany, Portugal. Do I think we'll win? Yes, I do. Why not? It's coming home.
Yeah,
it's coming
we will. Exactly. That's the spirit you got to take. Do you think the concern? Because I do kind of agree with you. I think everyone's kind of saying, like, listen, we've got an abundance of attacking quality. That's irrefutable. It's a fact. It's there now. Is the problem the back line? Maybe the lack of centre halves, established centre backs. I know we got John Stones, but
I think that what could be looked back on is a real key moment in a month's time or 3 weeks' time whenever England potentially go out or don't go out.
You're going to say 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗏.
I'm going to say 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏. Yeah. I really am. I just think that I think it was a really odd choice by Southgate, not only to not include him, because that's been a big conversation, but I also think to make the players aware of the decisions before the match on Friday, especially the defensive players. Now, I know that some people were sort of saying, well, look, if they're not going to be selected and he's made his mind up, then you let them go. There's no point keeping them around. And partly I agree with that, especially in areas where we have a wealth of depth. I think he was right to say to James Maddison, you know, you're not going to be included. You've got obviously next season to worry about. Go away and have your rest. I think he was right to say it to Curtis Jones, you know, but when we've got such a thin defence, but B, frail defence, I'd have been keeping the defenders around, all the defenders, you know, even 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, I'd have been keeping him. And I said, let's see what happens on Friday, because obviously you never plan for injuries. You hope they're not going to happen. But you look at John Stones coming off at half-time. I'd have then maybe been thinking, if I'm Gareth Southgate, maybe one less attacking player. Maybe I'll take 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏. I just think it was such an odd decision to name the 7 players that weren't going before that final friendly against Iceland. And I think in itself, it was an odd decision to not take a defender who's been absolutely amazing this season, been a part of an Everton team that, yes, finished in the bottom half of the league, but actually kept 13 clean sheets.
Fourth best
really strong.
Yeah. And he's left-footed as well, 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, which gives you that extra dimension, you know, sort of be able to switch it. I completely agree. But someone who, in my opinion, is a defender, he's played there for most of his career, but he's now apparently, if there's a leak that he's going to start in midfield against Serbia, that's Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is kind of what I based this video around, because that's going to be the main talking point. Now, listen, we know Trent's a world-class footballer. We can't argue that. But what do you think of that decision to play him centrally with presumably Rice then behind him in a number 6 and then Bellingham in a number 10? Is that a little bit, you know, is there a lack of balance there maybe?
I don't like it personally. I think that it's such a temptation as an international manager when you have the wealth of riches to try to shoehorn people into positions that they just don't fit into. We saw that all throughout the early 2000s with, you know, Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, one of them always being pushed out to the left wing. In a way, I kind of just think that it's almost a better managerial decision to just have the, you know, the balls to say, look, you can't start. We've got someone better in that position. You look at like the likes of Spain in the 2010s, the amount of wealth that they had in that midfield in regards to like Juan Mata. Juan Mata never got on the pitch for Spain in 2010. No one ever said, oh, we'll stick you left mid or we'll play you as a wing back because you're so good. Like, yes, they're brilliant players. Yes, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a fantastic footballer. He's world class. And I think that he's in such an unfortunate position because he's pretty much coming up against the most consistent right back in Premier League history, the best right back in Premier League history potentially. And I feel bad for him. I do feel bad for him. But I just don't think that's enough of a reason to try shoehorn him into a position where he just does not fit yet. We've not seen it enough at club level. People have always said, under Klopp, he needs to be pushed into midfield more, and Klopp never did it. Yeah. So that makes me wonder, well, why? If Klopp's not doing it, who, let's be honest, you know, is a footballing genius, one of the best managers of sort of, you know, this recent Premier League era, if he's not doing it, why is Gareth Southgate doing it? It just doesn't make sense to me. I think that we've got better options there. I think 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏, is obviously a good young talent. Is he as experienced enough at tournament football? Maybe not. But then again, neither's Trent, neither's Adam Wharton. I know it's the unattractive option, but I'd either be looking at Conor Gallagher or I'd be looking at, which is probably the least popular option, playing Bellingham as the 8, and then, well, we'll get on to who should go in the 10, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I was going to break that as the next question. Phil Foden, obviously, if this is the midfield, Trent, Bellingham, Rice, then Foden's too good to not start. He will start. So he's going to be out wide. Saka's also maybe too good to not start, so he starts on the right. So then Foden's on the left. And obviously, we're City fans, Ollie. We've watched City all season. Foden's been playing in those pockets, in that number 10, number 8 position, and he's been the best player in the Premier League in that position. So are you, in a way, maybe, by playing Trent, is it causing a domino effect that's shoehorning other players who are maybe better suited out of position. What do you think about Foden on the left-hand side?
I don't envy Gareth Southgate, is what I'll say, because no matter where you move the pieces, the jigsaw doesn't come together. So I feel bad for him on that one. I think that putting Foden out on the left is a waste. I think you are pretty much putting him in a situation where you're setting him up to fail, because that position is no longer where Phil Foden plays his best football. And people constantly have this expectation of Phil Foden in an England shirt, as they should. I think he's admitted in recent interviews that he's not shown the form for England that he knows that he can. But by sticking him out on that left wing where, you know, it just doesn't suit his style of play anymore, without overlapping fullbacks, because, you know, you're looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's not, Kieran Trippier. He's not a Luke Shaw. He's not going to be making those darting runs into the box. He's much more of a give it to me on the outside the box now, cross it in. So without that sort of partnership to play with, it leaves very little room for Phil Foden to be expressive on the pitch. And I just think it's going to be a hindrance to him. And look, again, I don't envy Southgate, because you've got two fantastic 10s in Bellingham and, you know, Foden. But one thing that I would say is that Bellingham did sort of pitter-patter out of form towards the end of the season, whereas Phil Foden was so consistent from game week 1 to game week 38 of the Premier League. He was consistently the best player, in my opinion, in Europe this season, because he didn't have a dip of form. There was no point where you went, oh, Phil, he's gone 4 or 5 games where he's not played very well. He was the most consistent player who was putting 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s in an attacking sense, probably alongside Rodri as well, this season. So I think it's a complete waste. I think also that, unfortunately, it's an inevitability that he is going to play out left. I think the squad selection shows that. I think if there was sort of a thought process of Gareth Southgate saying, all right, well, I'm going to play him centrally some games and play him out left on others, he'd have bought a Jack Grealish or a Marcus Rashford, someone who is naturally a left winger and also has tournament experience. By bringing Anthony Gordon, 𝗕𝗫𝗍𝗬, who don't have international experience, I think that's pretty much saying we're going to be leaning on Phil on the left.
Well, we shall see. I mean, the one positive is we know Harry Kane's going to be up front, and he has had a very good year and he's been consistent. So we've at least got that to hang our hat on. But Ollie, finally then, I mean, look, Serbia, we should have enough firepower to beat them. So finally, what is your score prediction for that game in particular on Sunday?
I'm not going to go big, to be honest. I feel like Serbia will surprise people. I feel like their front line especially is a bit of a worry for us. You know, 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏 from Juventus, and then who's the guy from Fulham?
You've got 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏,
Mitrovic.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of Mitrovic's name. All I could think was 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 then from Stoke back in the day.
He's Austrian.
Anyway, so they've got a very strong attacking line, which is a worry with John Stones and with Luke Shaw. I think, you know, going back to the very start of this sort of discussion, the left side of the defence is the worry for me. If you've got Trippier there, who's obviously not naturally a left-sided defender, and then you've got Gay starting his first match at an international tournament, I don't think it's going to be a given that we go in there and win 3-0. I'm going to go 2-1. I'll go 2-1. Be sensible. Well, I'm going to 2 goals from Kane.
2 goals from Kane. We'll take that. That'll be the start that we want. Ollie, pleasure, mate. Hopefully it's coming home. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. It definitely is coming home.
Thank you very much, Ollie. Yes, England-Serbia, the start of another European Championship journey, hopefully with silverware at the end of it. Because it feels like England have been on a bit of a journey under Southgate, and it's got to culminate one way or another. So fingers crossed it does. It starts here. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I've been Adam Monk. I'll see you next week. In fact, I'll see you very frequently, because there's going to be games every single day now. It's going to be relentless. Anyway, have a good weekend. Enjoy the tournament. I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.